I'm Dr. Julie Galvin,
And I'm Dr. Liz Snyder.
and we're here from the Galvin Growth Group, and we are reviewing Chapter 5 today of this wonderful book called Untangled by Dr. Lisa Damour. We've been walking through the 7 stages that girls need to transition through as adolescents to become successful, healthy, young adult women. And today we're going to discuss Chapter 5, which is called Planning for the Future. And there's some great stuff in this chapter. Dr. Snyder, do you want to talk a little bit about what we're going to cover?
Yes, so this chapter is exactly what it says, planning for the future. So how do these girls get where they want to go in life, right? Really focused on college, careers, those kind of academic and career-oriented goals for these girls. So she starts with talking about social media and how that might impact, right, their ability to get the job they want or secure, the college they want to go to. So how do we make sure our girls aren't leaving things on social media that might impact them in the future? She also talks about power struggles between girls and their parents, especially when it comes to homework and school. The girls in these instances hold all the power. They really can, turn in the homework, not turn it in. They hold a lot of power when it comes to their ability to actually do well in school. So she talks a lot about the power struggle around that and how you want to avoid those power struggles. Then she also goes into test anxiety and procrastination, talks a little bit about how to support girls in those areas, dealing with disappointment, what happens if, something doesn't go the way your daughter wanted it to go, and then finally about when to worry, whether your daughter overly plans and has no fun because she's so concerned about the future, or whether it's all fun and there's no plans, and kind of what to do about those things. And I think one of the overarching topics throughout the whole chapter is this idea of autonomy and how we can support these girls in making these big decisions about their future.
Yeah, I think that it focuses a lot in terms of what do they want to pursue when they grow up after high school. Do they want to go to college? Do they want vocational training? What do they, career path do they want to follow? And a lot of this, of course, leads back to school now in terms of middle school, high school. What kind of classes are they taking? What kind of grades are they getting? How are they doing with managing homework and all the demands of extracurriculars? And acknowledging that they are really in control. I think a lot of us as parents kind of realize over the years that we're in less control of things than we might like to be. And that kids ultimately with homework and school performance, they are the ones that are in control. And so it helps us know how can we be supportive of them doing the best that they can. And I think, Dr. Snyder, you and I both have talked to so many girls over the years who have kind of sabotaged themselves academically, not studying, not showing up to class, not doing well, not focusing. Sometimes I think it's a self-esteem issue in terms of getting, working out some of their own self-esteem about, can I be a good student and who am I? But sometimes they're also trying to get back at parents because they know parents care so much about school, and they're willing to take a hit academically themselves to get back at their parents. And I've talked to them, this isn't doing you any favors. This is, doing well academically is your ticket to freedom down the road. Dr. Snyder, have you had that experience too, talking to girls?
Yes, so often. I would say with so many clients, right? I have to have that conversation at some point. Why are you, I get why you're mad at your mom or your dad or your teacher, but how can we make it so you're successful? Like, what steps can you take to focus on you and not focus on, other people in this situation? And it's a hard thing, and it seems illogical, right, to a lot of parents, a lot of adults, but we know that logic isn't always right where our teenagers' strengths are at this point in their life. And so they react emotionally to things, and they really want that autonomy and that control, and they're going to take it wherever they can get it. And because they maybe don't have those forward thinking skills necessarily, right? Like their brains just quite aren't developed in that area as much to think about the future, they're going to react to things in the present and maybe disregard how that might influence their future. And one of the ways is exactly like you said, like not turning in homework, failing classes on purpose, things like that. And so I think for parents to have that perspective, how important autonomy is to these girls, and to come at it from that perspective to really support them in what their interests are and help guide them to their goals. Because like the author says, getting into a power struggle with a teenager who holds all the power, right, is not a place you want to be.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that by supporting them in their pursuits, like we're helping them know that we're behind them. We're willing to help them grow in whatever direction that they want to go in. And again, I think this is a positive way to build up their self-esteem and empower them that they can believe that they can go after whatever they want to. And I think it leads us into another topic that Dr. D'Amour discusses in this chapter, which is growth mindset, which is something I know you and I are very much into. And it's part of the reason we named our practice Galvin Growth Group, is that we believe in the power of change and that people can have a vision and set goals and do things to achieve those goals, and believe in themselves that they can be whatever they want to be. So Dr. Snyder, do you want to talk a little bit about how Dr. D'Amour works in growth mindset into this chapter?
Yes, and I, like you said, I'm a huge fan of growth mindset. And Dr. D'Amour really talks about how it revolutionized her way of thinking about things and her own parenting skills. And I would say the same is true for me. It really has changed the way, I speak to clients and to my own child and to other people in life in general, right? This idea that failures aren't a bad thing, that mistakes aren't a bad thing. It's about learning and moving forward. And understanding that just because you can't do something now doesn't mean you won't be able to do it in the future. And it's not this overly idealistic thing that I think some people, have some critiques about it. Like everyone can't do anything. I'm not going to go play in the WNBA tomorrow, no matter how much I practice basketball. So it does have some realistic expectations to it. But it's about constantly improving yourself, not necessarily always, comparing yourself to other people, but constantly trying to improve yourself, focus on that growth, learn from your mistakes, and move forward, which is something I really love about this idea of growth mindset.
Mm-hmm. I agree. And I think it talks about too, like recognizing where your strengths are and how do you build on those, and recognizing where your challenges are and how do we overcome them. And I think that ties into something in this chapter too, in our when to worry section, about sometimes at this age, middle school and high school are both big steps academically in terms of what's required for the students. So cognitively, in terms of the content, they're now also required to read to learn the material. The problem solving and thinking skills are in more demand than ever before. And then they have more classes with more teachers and more homework, and there's a lot more organization that needs to happen, as well as planning for long-term assignments. And she talks about if you see your child struggling at this age with these sort of things, it may be time to consider testing if they haven't done that before. Mm-hmm. And we'll put a little plug for our practice in here at this point, because that's something that we specialize in. And not only do we work with kids and adults, but we test kids and adults for just this sort of thing. So we can look at a lot of different issues and challenges that clients bring to the table, but testing can be very valuable for any student at any age, especially at this age of middle school and high school. So we can figure out where their strengths are, where are their challenges. Is it attention? Is it reading? Is it memory? Or is there something else going on that's making school a little bit challenging for them. And then what can we do with those results to help support the child? And so it's something that we do here. She talks about the value of it. And beyond testing, we can help kids learn to work with those findings. So say ADHD becomes a concern and prioritizing and procrastination and planning are all difficult. Well, we can offer support in that area in terms of learning how to manage all the stuff that they have in their plate. So we just felt like this chapter kind of played into that, and we thought it might be a nice opportunity for us to share a little bit of what we do here, because both aspects of that, the testing and the support, are things that we specialize in and love to help see, students achieve their most at school and feel good about themselves as learners and students.
Absolutely. And I think especially at this age, when we talk about teenagers, when teenagers start to maybe have difficulty in school and it seems like it's the first time, that can feel really overwhelming and confusing. And it could be a lot of different things going on, right? Because at this point, they're so far along into their school. And you might come to the table going, they're having, they're procrastinating. They don't want to do their work, right? Is it ADHD? But man, they really want to get good grades. And yeah, she has trouble focusing, but she spends 10 hours on her homework every night. So, is it maybe anxiety and that perfectionism, right? Trying to get everything right. There could be maybe some tendencies of depression going on or other things, a learning disability, like you said. So I think when they get to this point, it becomes really difficult sometimes to tease apart exactly what's going on, because a lot of times it's been an underlying issue for so long. But especially for some of our gifted and bright girls, they've been able to compensate for it. And so it becomes a little bit more complex at this point. And that's what I love about what we do, right, is we really dig in and differentiate and try to figure out exactly what's going on. And I think that's one of the most common cases, at least I get in my testing cases here, is these girls in either high school or college who all of a sudden things are hard and they don't understand why, because school's been so easy for them until this point.
I agree. So we invite you to certainly contact us if you ever have questions about anything. Otherwise, we hope you enjoyed this chapter as much as we did. And next time, we are going to discuss chapter 6, which is called Entering the Romantic World. So that's going to be a fun conversation for us to cover that chapter as well. So please check out our website, check out our website and our video series, and read the next chapter with us, and we look forward to talking about it with you next time.
Absolutely. We'll see you next week.